The final score, Wrexham 3, Shrewsbury Town 0. And another comprehensive performance by a team that's taken to League One like a duck to water. Very impressive stuff. This was a proper outgunning of Shrewsbury, in all honesty. Their fans came, made good noise, but ultimately their team didn't have much of a chance in this match. It was interesting sitting next to the local reporters from Shrewsbury who said before the game, we'll put a few goals past them. And they weren't wrong. And after the match, listening to their phone in, so with taking calls and reading out social media posts from Shrewsbury fans, and it was apocalyptic. They really thought it was the end of the world. And I sort of thought, well, on the one hand, they shouldn't judge themselves really by that, because they were up against, like I said, a much stronger team, and in every position Wrexham were a better side. That any points taken off a team as strong as that is a bonus. But goodness me, it was quite fun hearing a meltdown, and it was also, I think, telling. There was a gulf between these two teams that wasn't there when we played and won in the cup there last season. So one change only by Wrexham, enforced on Phil Parkinson. Andy Cannon, of course, had damaged his hamstring at Peterborough. So Ollie Rathbone came in for his first league start. And we started extremely strongly. I mean, Shrewsbury, I feel, have got something going forwards. But defensively, they had a bit of a makeshift look about them. They've lost players through injury and international call-ups. And they didn't defend terribly well, especially as the game wore on. First chance came in the 9th minute, and it was a really close ring. Lee sweeping in a corner, jumping in the crowds. The keeper could only weakly punch to the edge of the area. Real chance for Rathbone to mark his first league game with a goal, but he pulled a shot horribly. But it rolled straight to McLean, standing just wide of the 6-yard box and just outside it on his right foot. Wow. I wish I could hit the ball like that with my weaker foot. He smashed it and it slammed against the bar and ricocheted away before anyone could react. Terrific hit. Very unlucky. Breakthrough came in the 15th minute. A nice move. 15 passes strung together by Wrexham at the back, and then a nice bit of acceleration as the ball was fed by Cleworth to Barnett. He popped it inside, having brought the ball narrow. Lee helped it on first time to McLean. McLean around the back of the defence, punched in a side-footed first-time cross. And Palmer at the far post swept it in first time from just outside the 6-yard box. A lovely move. We cut through them beautifully. It's something we clearly are working on, because we've had that incisiveness this season. It's been impressive. Easy goal for Palmer. 150th league goal of his career. A couple of minutes later, it could have been 2. Okonkwo knocking it forwards. Palmer, who dominated in the air, flicking it on. And Unsiala, the centre-back, got there first. But Rathbone closed down on him, mugged him. And for a moment, it looked like he was going to be one-on-one with the keeper. The ball just rolled close enough to the goalkeeper to be able to slide in and thump the ball clear. But Wrexham causing all sorts of mayhem in the Shrewsbury defence that was starting to now look a bit bedraggled. To be fair to them, after half an hour, they created an opportunity. And also, to be fair to them, they reacted well to going behind. And their best spell of the game was a good 15, 20 minutes after the goal, where they not only managed to keep us at arm's length, and we weren't really getting the ball down and moving it through midfield as we had done at the start, but also they had a lot of the ball and they put us under pressure. Didn't make many chances. Wrexham are a better defensive team than we looked at the first day of the season. But they did make some. One of them came when the ball was really well retrieved by Lloyd after an overhead cross had gone towards the corner flag. He pulled it back, and a first-time cross ripped in by Mal Benning found Castledine about 7 yards out with a decent chance, but his header lacked power, didn't really properly get hold of it, and Okonkwo was able to sharply catch it above his head. Wrexham then coming forwards once more. This time Rathbone doing what Lloyd had done earlier, really doing well to keep a move alive, retrieving the ball on the flank, pulling it back into midfield. Dobson looked to play a killer pass. It would have been a beauty if he'd made it. But Palmer, who would have been one-on-one, was denied because Nsiala did well to lunge in front of him and intercept. And within seconds, Shrewsbury had what turned out in the end to be their best chance of the match. But it was an odd incident. Long ball forwards. O'Connell looked to be under control. Lloyd came across. Lloyd had he was quite a blunt striker in terms of his threat, but he liked putting himself about. He looked to clearly foul O'Connell, I've got to say. The referee didn't blow the whistle, which meant Lloyd was all on his own on the edge of the area with just a Conquo to beat. Lloyd's peculiar, weak lob towards goal, which Conquo caught, didn't save it. He didn't have to save it, he just caught it. I think it was a consequence of Lloyd also thinking he'd committed a foul. But no whistle came, so Lloyd had a glorious opportunity and spurned it without really realising what a chance it was. They made another chance during this decent spell. Winchester, who's normally a midfielder but filling in at right back, getting forward and managed to nudge the ball inside to Castledine, who in the right channel drove forwards from a tight angle, hit a shot. A lunging challenge came in and just deflected it away from goal, took a bit of pace off it and nearly turned it into a perfect cross. Okonkwo looked set to be able to deal with the shot, but it just cruelly trickled out of his reach and went slowly across the face of goal. Nobody, luckily for Wrexham, was following up to try and tap it in. And within a minute, it was 2-0, and it did really feel like game over. This time, great work by Palmer, who raced back and dispossessed Benning after a heavy touch. Benning then fouled him, but the referee played a good advantage because Barnett took over, surged down the flank, cut inside, and then fed a nice pass to Lee, stroked the ball home calmly from just outside the box into the bottom corner. Keeper with no chance, but this was one of a number of instances. I've just been watching the game back just to get a bit more detail, and you can sort of, from about this point, you can randomly just stop the video anywhere and see Shrewsbury's defensive shape is wrong. And on this occasion, really, I mean, they just all retreated back into the box, scared of Barnett. Nobody stepped out to try and stop him or put pressure on him. He had all the time in the world to roll his Lee. He had all the time in the world to get his shot right. It was poor, and it was a pattern that would continue throughout the second half. Wrexham creating a chance early in the second period. Marius, a lovely piece of skill. So he's very adroit when the ball drops at awkward heights. He managed to pull it down and then flick it instinctively out wide. McLean, who, I don't know, he must have made sure he had a good shower after the match, because I've never seen him left so alone. It's probably the most space he's been allowed in his entire career. He was always available out wide, and when they found him, again, Shrewsbury were poor at closing him down. So McLean, of all the time in the world, whipped in a header. A brilliant attempt by Marius, who's followed up his pass by running into the box. The cross came behind him, and he did brilliantly to sort of lunging away from goal to pivot and get enough power in his header from a good 15 yards out to trouble the goalkeeper. It was fairly straightforward, a save to be fair, but a hell of an effort. Shrewsbury came close halfway through the half. Free kick on the flank. Benning had put some good delivery in. Set pieces looked to be their way in. They were really crowding Okonkwo and then trying to drop the ball in the 6-yard box. On this occasion, everyone was expecting the same. So Benning went for goal, powerfully. And Okonkwo, backpedaling, did really well to tip it over the bar. But once again, an opportunity not taken by Shrewsbury, a half chance, was followed by a goal. This time, well, the chance could have been a massive one. O'Connell on the edge of his area hesitated. Lloyd tackled him. And once again, he looks like he's going to be one-on-one with the keeper. But O'Connell manages to tackle back, and then almost as if his adrenaline is surging through him, he just whacks the ball down the flank. But it's not just his adrenaline going. He's seen Marius making a run. Now, I've got to be honest and say, from my angle, I thought it was one of those long balls over the top that are just at that height where the defender's on the stretch and can't control it. Having seen the replay from the other side, I take that back. Horrible mistake by Unsiala. I mean, it's awkward. It's dropping over his shoulder. But, you know, stick it in the ground, mate. When he doesn't, he tries. I'm not quite sure what he does, but all he basically does is deflect it into the path of Marius running at the goalkeeper. I don't actually think, although Unsiala, I can promise you, the listeners at BBC Shropshire certainly blamed him for a lot of things. I actually think that although Unsiala's mistake was very poor, Toby Savin, the goalkeeper's error, was what really made the goal. He comes charging out. He's got no chance of getting there ahead of Marius. He's got no chance of getting there and hurrying Marriott, quite frankly. He's not going to get anywhere near him. And when you look at it, I mean, Unciala's realised what he's done. He's making a good recovery run. And the least he'd be able to do is force Marriott central, where there's two retreating defenders coming. Their shapes all over the place for this, when the ball's not long by O'Connell. One of the centre-backs, for some reason, has stepped into midfield, joining Palmer, which means the gap between the two centre-backs is absurd. But anyway, they are coming back. But the keeper races out, totally sells himself, and Marriott very calmly just sidesteps him outside the box and side foots it into the empty net. Just reward for Marriott's excellence, as we'll get to in a moment when we discuss the performances. He and Palmer were superb. They're both given a rest on 71 minutes, as is Rathbone, who did really well. James Jones and, of course, the two men Shrewsbury were desperate to see coming on, just as they're looking bedraggled. Paul Mullin and Stephen Fletcher are the replacements. And, well, almost straight away, they could have been down to 10 men. Oh, in the interest of fairness, I should point out, I'd forgotten this. When it was 2-0, Shrewsbury were agitating massively, players and fans alike, for Lee to get a straight red card for a high challenge on Bloxham. I having looked at the video time and again, it's not a red card. The ref booked him, and the ref's right. His foot was very high, absolutely, but I don't think he was really going on with a great deal of force, and he struck the player sort of lower end of his chest, but it was not really directed at him. It wasn't enough to warrant a red. It's a badly misjudged challenge, no question. And Shrewsbury were absolutely furious, but yeah, the ref was right. There was plenty of argy-bargy around it as well. Rathbone and McLean getting involved. Lots of Shrewsbury players shoving and pushing, as were the Wrexham players, don't get me wrong. McLean had a very lengthy conversation afterwards with one Shrewsbury player. If I can decode his body language, I think he's telling him to stop stirring. I think. Anyway, that wasn't a red. But there were two other incidents involving Shrewsbury players that Wrexham were interested in. A later one, which I'll go through, but wasn't a red. And this one. So Winchester, I think, decides the ball, Wrexham of attacking, cross from the right is too strong. McLean retrieves it on the left flank. And I just think Winchester was thinking, okay, I'll take one for the team here, get a yellow by hitting McLean, and then McLean will react and he'll get a yellow as well, and then Wrexham are down to 10 men. I've got to say, if he's going to have this thought, have it when it's 0-0. Well, with 1-0, I suppose. He was booked when it was 1-0. But anyway, it was a poor challenge. He comes charging out. McLean's laying the ball back. It's late, studs up, hits McLean above his ankle. 1 foot, not 2. But, at the time, on the far side of the pitch, and I'm thinking, that's not a good challenge. But it's probably a yellow, which is what he gets. Looking at the replay, I think it's a red. It's a lunge, sort of deliberate late lunge. And I think he was a bit lucky not to get dismissed. The other shout for a red card against Shrewsbury, well, it was what looked like a 2-footed tackle on Ryan Barnett by Ojo, the midfielder. But when you look at the video again, it's not 2-footed. It maybe jumps in a little. It's a poor challenge. It's a strong yellow, but I think the ref got that one right as well. So anyway, my opinion. Anyway, Wrexham continued to push on. Oh my words! I mean, Unciala goes off. It was quite amusing, really. He did get hurt. He gets treatment. He's waiting at the side of the pitch to come back on, and then looks across and sees his number on the board because Paul Hurst has decided, you know what? He's walked off the pitch. Why make him go back on again? So you end up with two centre backs called Feeney, which was lovely for me. I thought can't get them mixed up then, can I? And they look vulnerable. Maybe Wrexham will feel that we really should have scored more, because it was all us pushing on then. 12 minutes left. Great thinking by Mullin to take a quick throw in after he chased and hassled the defender. Lee pops it straight back to him. Mullin drives into the box, cuts inside on his right, sets himself, and you think, here we are, first goal of the season. But to be fair, the younger Feeney did well to get a block on it. Well, I thought that at the time, looking at it on the replay. He turns his back on the shot, but sticks his heel out behind him and it hits that. Otherwise, it is a goal, I think. So, a little bit fortunate. Then there's a great piece of work a minute later by Dobson. who tackles Seago and then punches a brilliant ball forwards. Mullin holds her up on the edge of the box. He wants to get a shot off. He can't quite. He loses his balance as a player, nudges him from behind and goes down, but he doesn't bother asking for the penalty this time. Instead, he plays it across to Lee, who slips and slides into the D and hits a shot which goes just wide. Wrexham brought off McLean, who'd had painkilling injections to play and hadn't trained all week. Can you believe someone can play like that when they haven't trained all week? He comes off, 8 minutes left. Reven comes on for him, and Reven immediately is getting involved. Cleworth helping Reven on, and he broke down the left before putting a great cross in. Mullin had got between the two centre-backs. Free header, and from about 10 yards out, he put it too close to the keeper, who went down to his left and saved it. Real frustration for him. But he had a better chance soon afterwards. Cleworth hitting a diagonal. Nice flick down by Fletcher. Mullin running beyond the last defender. Keeper comes out. Mullin looks to lift it over him and score, and puts it off target. Frustration for him. Another chance again a minute later. This time it's Barnett switching over to the left-hand side, and Reven, great technique, drills in a shot across the face of goal. It's going wide. It hits a defender in the goal mouth at the far post. Mullin lunging for it is just inches short of making contact, and the ball is hacked clear. Wrexham win the game 3-0. Very impressive. We go top of the league as well. I know after 5 games doesn't mean much, but those 5 games have meant something. Very impressive. The only points dropped away to Bolton, who of course are pre-season favourites alongside Birmingham to go straight up. Looking at the performances, Okonkwo didn't have much to do. Again, it's weird, isn't it? Teams are starting to hem him in for corners, and they're seeing that as something to take advantage of. The guy's massive. It seems counterintuitive. I think maybe teams have seen corners that have caused us issues and felt that he doesn't command the goal mouth as he should. I wouldn't necessarily agree. He gets decent punches in when there are people around him, and it's difficult to deal with the crosses. The issue would be more people getting blocked off attacking set pieces, I think. That's what Wickham did on the first day. So I think teams have maybe slightly misinterpreted this potential weakness. The fact that we kept now 4 clean sheets in a row kind of backs me up, I reckon. But he was solid and made a very good save, as I said, from that free kick by Benninger, tried to catch him out. Again, the back three, like I said, 4 clean sheets in a row. They are looking so good. O'Connell, so physical and combative in the middle. O'Connor and Cleworth were excellent bringing the ball forwards. Really terrific. And Cleworth hit some glorious crossfield passes. I mean, Mark Harrington was commentating with us, and a couple of times he involuntarily just went, "Oh, great ball," because he knows what a good pass is. Cleworth, terrific. And they say O'Connor as well, whose passing was very good, and his defending was very good too. Those 3 are looking absolutely terrific. The wing-backs, again, Ryan Barnett didn't tear them apart this time. He merely was extremely good. Because when he really gets at teams, he can cause a huge amount of damage, can't he? But he still put some good quality crosses. His end product was very good. Lots of energy. Kept going for the full 90. Left-hand side, like I said, McLean, what a captain's innings. That was just constant, all action. It would take a lot, you feel, for him to miss a derby match, but goodness me. Like I said earlier, he pushed through the physical barriers to play, and he was, as ever, robust, aggressive, strong, driving forwards, threatening, defensively solid. Centre midfield was Dobson. Well, I think I said a couple of podcasts ago, I love George Dobson. I really do. I think I realised in this match that everyone loves George Dobson. When he was doing just little neat and tidy stuff, the back of the defence, just tidying up and playing the ball back to his centre-backs, people still clap him. Everyone loves him. Just the class about everything he does, and the very smooth way that he snuffs out problems and just gets around the pitch. Oh, he's a quality player. He was excellent again. Good passing, good tackling, great reading of the game. Elliot Lee, I thought, was terrific. He was really in the mood to do some tricks. A number of little flicks around the corner, which found their mark, was terrific. And he was in the mood. He was driving forwards. He deserved his goal. Could have got more from shots outside the box too. Very impressive. And then Ollie Rathbone, I think should be very pleased. We brought him in as a player to improve our starting 11. And he finally breaks into it. And yeah, all energy. A little bit more likely to sort of drop off into Dobson's sort of area to get involved like that when we've got the ball. Driving, running, good tackling, good pressing. Yeah, you sort of thought when you bought him, this is a quality player, and you can see he's a quality player, very impressive. Caught the eye in his debut, but his first start, should I say, in the league. And then up front, the front two were magnificent. I mean, Palmer was just dominant in the air, scored, uh, really bullied the centre backs. His interplay with Marius was terrific. And then Marriott, yeah, uh, terrifically quick, constantly trying to drive in behind the centre backs. In fact, I slightly wondered whether that strength became a problem for Wrexham in the first half because we were finding him early on, but then we started maybe playing that early ball over the top a bit too often when we should have been moving it through midfield and continue our control of the game. But, can't blame him for that. He's constantly making that run. He hassles defenders and forces mistakes. His touch is excellent. He holds the ball up really well. Such a small fella, but his touch is great to do that. Brilliant performance and a nicely taken goal, even though Shrewsbury really did conspire to help him score it. Off the bench, again, Mullin. I'm so encouraged by Mullin that he's getting off the bench, he's getting minutes, and he's getting into great scoring positions. He's not quite taking them yet, but that will come. It would be if he was really quiet that I'd be concerned. Fletcher again comes on. Classy, as ever. Strong in the air. What more can you say? James Jones put a good shift in as well on the right side of midfield. He was tidying things up nicely. And Reven comes on. And again, I mean, he may be on the bench, but he's another one who's really showing quality. His technique for the volley across the goal was good. His quality, he put 2 pinpoint crosses in. So again, like Barnett, he's got end product. And so many flashy, fast players don't. But those two are an exciting pair. Imagine us unleashing them both at the same time. Defenders beware. Brilliant stuff by Wrexham. Absolute delight to watch. And as it was a derby again. And a derby which the last 3 times you've played Shrewsbury at home have been defeats. Well, that made it all the sweeter. A great performance by Wrexham. Maybe that meltdown on BBC Shropshire was an appropriate response. With a final score of Wrexham 3, Shrewsbury Town 0, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.